Senator Gorton.
Chief Morris, I find your actions on September 11th to have been extraordinarily resourceful and courageous. You were out at LaGuardia. The Trade Center was not your primary responsibility. And in just over an hour, having seen this on television, you managed to organize 17 people and get them all the way down to the Trade Center. A remarkable achievement, in my view. You had a little bit, you didn't know this, but you had just a little bit more than a half an hour before both Trade Center buildings were gone when you got there. But it seems to me that you suffered a great deal of frustration during the course of that half hour. So I'd like you to explain to me the communications problems in the time that you were actually there. How frustrated were you by an inability to get through to your own Port Authority people? How much did you lack in ability to put your people in the right place by a lack of inability to communicate with the New York Police Department and with the Fire Department? If radio communications of communications had been better among all three, could you have done more? And if so, to the best of your ability, would the situation be different and better today? Just talk to me about that communication problem.
Coming down the BQ, as I said, I had a panoramic view. To me, that compared to other commanders, that was a luxury. I'd been there in '93, and when you're in the building or right outside the building, you have no broad vision. I tried to get the Central Police Desk with the intent in getting in touch with Chief James Romito, somebody I knew for 25 years, who I was through a lot of different scenarios with, and to hook up contact with him, because I know he'd be down there, and he went upstairs. So it was very frustrating, that part. The frustration also is that knowing the operation at the Trade Center, I knew that you had people would be at that fire command post, and the way it would practice, that New York City would be on the perimeter, just the way it worked. But not knowing, having that communication, you couldn't find information which would help you maybe solve a problem on the response there, which was a great frustration for me, and that maybe you could have taken an action that you didn't. The officers, Port Authority officers, they went in and did what they had to do in the building. Some of them had communications with each other, the World Trade Center Command. And in speaking to them, they were close enough where they could do what they had to do on the floor. But responding, it was a great frustration. And you didn't know what was ahead of you. It's like, I always, as a police officer and coming up, it's like playing baseball. You want to anticipate. You didn't have you didn't have the information to anticipate what you had to do.
Did you lose any of your 17?
No.
Is the situation, if a similar situation took place today, would some at least of those communications problems have been solved? Would communications among these various agencies be easier today than it was 3 years ago?
Oh, yes. There's technology that's been brought in so that your radio can be put into a device. Believe me, that's why I became a police officer. I didn't know anything of science. But there's communication devices now that have been made available to the agencies and the Office of Emergency Management to greatly facilitate the communication.